Hey family, Wagwan. What is up, you guys? Coming up is part 2 of the visa process. So what happens once you reach the States? Let's get it.
Let's do this, baby. Hey guys, so we are back with the next video, and in this video we will continue to talk about the visa process and what happens when you get over in the United States.
Yes, because in our last video we talked about the process for Kemar to come over. But what happens once you get here? Because once you come over to the States, the process doesn't stop there.
Yeah,
right?
Continue. Them know
yes. That. You guys don't forget to like up the video. And we're just going to jump right into it. And in the last video, we talked about the process for Kemar to come over. And Kemar came over on a spouse visa. And when you come over on the spouse visa, once you enter the States and you get your social security number, you can immediately go to work. So you're authorized to immediately work as well as travel in and out of the country. Kemar got his social security number when he came over. My mom took him like the next week, right?
Yes, it was the next week.
Yeah, she took you like the next week to apply for the social security number. And then about maybe a week later, the social security card came in the mail. But you can also select the box on the application to automatically receive the social security number, so they can process it once you enter the States, and you don't really have to go to the social security office anymore. But we did select the box, but I was kind of following Visa Journey, and some people were saying like it still didn't come even though they selected the box, and so we just kind of like wanted to jumpstart the process. So my mom took him to get it to apply for it, and then it came in the mail. But I have heard like more recently that, when you select that box that it does come automatically. So you can kind of skip that step and just select the box and your social security number will come in the mail about 2 weeks after you arrive. So, but as I said, Kemar, when he came over, he came on a spouse visa. The green card came in the mail about a month later, maybe about a month.
Yeah, man.
Maybe 4 to 6 weeks for the green card to come in the mail. And Kemar got a conditional green card when he arrived. So when he came into the States, the green card that came in the mail was a conditional green card.
So for those who don't know what a conditional green card is, that's a 2-year green card. So when you enter in the United States and you're married for less than 2 years, you get a conditional green card. But if you're married for more than the 2 years, whether you just enter the United States, once you're married for more than 2 years, you get the straight off the back, you get the 10-year green card.
Yes. So, and this is kind of important for those of you who maybe go to your interview and you are close to that 2-year anniversary of being married. And, of course, with COVID, everything is kind of taking longer anyway. So a lot of people that are coming over now are automatically getting the 10-year green card, unless they did some type of expedite or something like that, meaning that they had some kind of reason or eligibility for them to apply for an expedited case and that they can come over sooner for whatever that reason is. So for instance, if you have like some kind of medical issue or something like that and you need to be united with your spouse, you can apply for an expedite and you can come sooner. But this is kind of important for, as I said, those of you who go to your interview and let's just say you are 2 months, 3 months shy of your 2-year anniversary. You might as well wait that little time for your 2-year anniversary so that when you cross over into the States, you automatically get the 10-year green card. And I know, sometimes people are kind of like eager to come over, but that's really going to make a difference in the long run because it's going to be less costly for you. So When you are married less than 2 years, remember you get the 2-year green card. But if you're married more than 2 years when you come into the States, you automatically get a 10-year green card. And that's a little bit different from like other like family-based visas. So for instance, if you are a citizen filing for like your parent or a child, they would automatically get a 10-year green card as well once they come over. But, you know, of course, in these videos, we're talking about like marriage-based visas. So if you are married for more than 2 years when you come over, you can get the 10-year green card. So when Kemar came over and he got the 2-year conditional green card, we then had to apply for removal of conditions. So that's basically to apply for the 10-year green card. And so you're applying to remove the conditions off of the conditional green card. And you will do that within 90 days of your 2-year green card expiring. So Kemar came over in November of 2016, and his 2-year anniversary of arriving in the States would have been November of 2018. And then we applied for the removal of conditions when? September, October, November, maybe around September of 2018. Because you can apply for it as soon as that 90-day time frame window opens up, but you don't want to apply anytime before then. So even if you apply a day before and you pay those fees, you don't get those fees back, but they will send you a letter saying that you're not eligible to apply. So make sure that you're within that 90-day window time frame. And you do have to remove conditions, because we're going to get into the citizenship a little bit later in the video. But you can't just go straight to citizenship. You do have to apply for removal of conditions. So you have to apply to remove the conditions off of your 2-year green card. So when you go to remove conditions from your green card, that burden basically falls on the beneficiary. So when you go through like the initial process of filing for like your spouse or your fiance to come over, that's your application as the petitioner. So you're basically submitting an application to bring that person over, to unite the family, because that's the purpose of like family-based visas, right?
Yes, please.
But when you are removing conditions off of the green card is the beneficiaries. So the green card belonged to Kemar at that point. And so it was basically up to him to submit the application to remove the conditions off of the 2-year green card.
So basically what my wife has said, it's your responsibility for remove the condition from the 2-year green card. So basically me have to show like is a process where me still have to show like evidence that we live together, but you have to show like deeper evidence that we cohabitate and do things together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so just to even talk a little bit more about like the evidence, because, you know, when you go through the initial process, you are submitting, you know, evidence that you're in a bona fide relationship. So you're submitting like evidence of time spent face to face, you know, such as, you know, the passport stamps and hotel receipts, or, you know, things showing that you have spent time together, right?
So it's basically similar like the CM process where you did have to submit evidence up front in a part 1 for the visa.
Yes. So when you submit the application, they ask you for the evidence. Yes, and you can submit the application online as well. So this process is online, and you submit the evidence. And the type of evidence that you want to submit is like evidence that shows that you are still in a bona fide relationship, that you cohabitate, that you live together. So you want to submit stuff showing that you have like the same address. So you want to submit like your driver's license for both the petitioner and, well, for the beneficiary, because it's your application, as well as the U.S. citizen.
Yes.
You want to submit like bank statements for like the past 2 years for that time frame, because the evidence that you're going to submit is basically over the course of that 2-year time frame, right? So you want to submit like bank statements that show the same address, and that, you know, you pay bills from the same account, you know, that your money is being, you know, deposited into that account from his employment, from your employment. And as far as like bank statements, you don't really have to submit like each month. I think we just submitted like every 3 months worth of bank statements so that you're not submitting, 18 to 24 months of bank statements, and then you also want to submit like tax records showing that you filed like your taxes together. That's, other evidence of like cohabitation and living together. You also want to submit like if you have like any bills, to say, any bills that are in his name. So in Kimar's case, if he had any credit cards or if he paid like any utilities and those were in his name, you could submit evidence, like that as well. And then also if you have anything like insurance documents showing that, you are the beneficiary of, the insurance policy. So anything that shows that now you have basically established a life together. So that makes sense?
Yeah, man.
Yeah. So, and another thing that you can submit too is affidavits. So they also call these like affidavits of support, right? So, when you're going through like the initial process, some people want to submit affidavits, and basically it's like a statement from like people who know you, family and friends, like attesting to the relationship. But when you're going through the initial process, affidavits don't really weigh a lot because, those people haven't really seen you interacting in a relationship, right? But once you come over and you are now like living together and mingling together and becoming like one, establishing your life together, you can submit affidavits from like family and friends because now they've seen you like living and, like really just kind of deep diving into the marriage and sharing your life together. So you can do that, and they do not have to be notarized. Some people will say, oh, you got to submit affidavits that are notarized. They do not have to be notarized. So, but there is, like a format that you can look up online to kind of just get like the basic sample format of how the affidavit should go. And then those people should sign it, but it doesn't have to be signed in front of a notary. And one more thing to note about the removal of conditions as well is if you are like, say you're divorced or the marriage is not working out, the burden falls on the beneficiary to remove the conditions, right? So you have to report that information to Customs and Immigration so that they can update your file. And then once you get a divorce, they will continue to process your application once you submit the divorce certificate. So you don't really want to apply for a removal of conditions based on like a joint applicancy, if that makes sense, saying that, yes, you're in a bona fide relationship, you're submitting this application based on the fact that you and your spouse are still together, if you're not really together. Because if they grant you the visa on the basis that you and your spouse are still together, then that's kind of like misrepresentation.
Like fraud.
Yes, you're obtaining that removal of conditions 10-year green card under false pretenses. So that can just kind of mess you up like in the long run. So, and it's a simple process. I mean, even though you may not be with your spouse, you can still remove the conditions off of your green card. And they call that process a divorce waiver. So you can basically apply to remove conditions, submit whatever evidence you have, and then you can also just notify them that you and your spouse are not together, and you are going through a divorce or you are divorced. And once you get the divorce certificate, you can submit that as part of your evidence, and then they'll process your case. And more than likely, you'll still get your green card because you have already proved bona fide marriage when you did the initial application. It's just that sometimes people come over and the marriage doesn't work out. But on the flip side of that, sometimes the marriage doesn't work out because that person didn't really have the right intentions in marrying somebody and coming over. And some people do come over and run off. Like, that's real too. That's fact, And so in that case, you can submit evidence to show that that person married you solely for a green card. But you need like evidence. It's not, he say, she say, or he cheated on me or anything like that, because those things happen all the time in a relationship. But if you have like solid evidence showing that that person married you solely for a green card, you can report that information to Customs and Immigration.
So now we are moving on to the citizenship process. So after I file to remove condition off of my green card, so so I file for my 10-year green card in that process, because when you file for remove condition, it take a long time. So in that time, we did eligible for file for citizenship. So basically, me just go ahead, write this, and just file for citizenship within that time.
So basically, when you are still married to your spouse, you can apply for citizenship after 3 years.
Yes.
So there's like the 3-year rule, and then there is the 5-year rule. So if you're married to your spouse, you can file for citizenship based on that 3-year rule. But if you are no longer together, then you have to wait 5 years before you can apply for citizenship. And basically, again, with other like family-based visas, like if you file for your parent or your child as a U.S. citizen, they come over, they get a 10-year green card, they can apply for citizenship after 5 years as well.
Okay.
Yeah, so you want to kind of talk about like the process to apply for your citizenship, like what did you have to do?
Oh, so basically when you go at that process, they might ask you like question about like the country, like about American history, like who did them president back in a certain time and who them did go war with, and so basically it's just that them think there are information were already even out there. And then maybe them give one book for study too. So yeah, them they supposed to give me a book for study with the whole of them something there in it. So you have to study and memorize all of them stuff there. And basically
because it's like 3 parts to the citizenship.
Yes, and then basically me did have to read, me I say in English to a lady for sure say you you understand, and then after that, the lady did ask you a few questions, same way, like, because she wants to see if you did any trouble or any problem. Sometimes then we ask you if you get any ticket or like if you ever in any run-ins with the law over here. And then basically she did even spell a word and I have to write it back in English. So basically them just want to know so you understand standard English, and them think they ain't no problem. And as I say, you show them all your rightful and your upful evidence them. So
yeah, so basically
that was the process.
Yeah, so basically that you can read and write in English and that you know some American history. So they asked you like 10 questions.
Yes.
Yeah.
But there's so many questions, it's like 50 to 40 questions.
Yeah.
But 10 them are going to ask you out and all of them. They say,
I think it was more than that. It was like 100 questions that you were studying.
Yeah.
Because you don't know which ones they're going to ask. Yeah, and them
ask you about 10 outside. So, man, I tell you have just dip on it, yeah. You have just on your business.
Yeah. And I don't remember exactly, but I think you had to get 6 out of 10, right?
Yeah,
was it 6 out of 10, something like that?
Something like that.
Yeah, don't quote us on it. But it's something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
And then also, so he still had the application in processing for the 10-year green card. And that process takes a long time. So by the time he filed for his citizenship and they scheduled the appointment for the interview for the citizenship, they basically processed both applications at the same time, right? And so, and like normally, it's good for your spouse if you're still together and you're applying for removal of conditions based on the fact that you're still together. You're filing like a joint, it's not really a joint application, but you're filing based on the fact that you're still together. It's a good idea for you both to go to the interview, because sometimes they will even request to do like a joint interview. So, they'll, ask for your spouse to come in as well.
But majority of the time when them do a joint interview, it's like maybe if them not trust the process or them find something.
Yeah. Typically, that's like if they have like some question or something like that, like the evidence wasn't really clear.
Yes.
So they will kind of like separate you and then ask you questions. They call that like a Stokes interview.
Yeah.
So they will separate you and ask you questions to see if you're going to answer the same way. And I've even heard like some people say like Customs and Immigration will come to their house like unannounced to see if like you're both there. They may want to come in and look around and see if there's like evidence of, you both living there. Do you have pictures, of both of you in the house, or, there are clothes in the closet that belong to, man and woman, or, for instance, if you're in a relationship with a man and woman, because you do have like some same-sex marriages too, but basically to show that you're still together. But when Kemar did his citizenship interview, although I went with him, they did not ask for me to come in and speak, or question me or anything like that. But they basically processed both applications at the same time. But so when you went for the citizenship interview, they didn't really give you like a decision right then. They just say like what, they'll send you a letter.
Yeah, them never give a decision right then.
Right.
For real. Them so them we send something in the mail.
Yeah. So then Kemar got his letter to say that his oath ceremony had been scheduled, right? And it was delayed because it was during COVID, and you were originally supposed to go in March of 2020. But everything was delayed because of COVID, and so you ended up going in like, I don't remember if it was like July or August that you went for your oath ceremony. So tell them like a little bit about the oath ceremony. Like, what was that like? Like, how did it feel? Was it sentimental for you, or like, what did you feel?
Like, it was a great feelings, babes. As I said, like, I couldn't even believe some reached so far and I made this I get even my citizenship,
Mm-hmm.
And, I never even think me even ready for even, like, citizenship. But, like, my wife sit down with me and she basically show me, it's not the same thing. You don't have the same rights when you're a green card holder. When you're a citizen, you have different rights, So,
yeah, let me kind of touch on that before you keep going. Is that okay?
Okay, no problem.
Yeah. So basically, as a green card holder, that's a lawful permanent resident. So that's basically saying that you can legally like live and work in the States. But, as a citizen, you have rights that people who are born in the States have. So you can vote. Like, as a green card holder, you can't vote. And I don't know if that's important to some people, but I'm just using that as an example of, certain rights that you have. And as a green card holder, they can deny you entry coming into the States. It's highly unlikely that they will. But let's just say, for instance, you leave the country, and then as you're coming back into the country, they suspect that, maybe you have some drugs or, something illegal or something like that. Then they start searching your electronic devices or your luggage and stuff like that. And they find something. They can deny you entry, But as a citizen, they can't really deny you entry into the country, Like, they'll let you in, but then they may prosecute you, afterwards. But, as a green card holder, they can deny you entry technically, from coming into the country.
Yeah.
So.
And basically, I think me even have like video of it be when me did basically inside and it's like you have to take oath.
Because you pledge allegiance to that flag.
Yeah, and then you have to pledge allegiance to that flag. So
you pledge allegiance to the U.S. American flag?
Yeah, man, you have to. When you're there, you have to. So yeah, guys, we have some video and you will see the video right there as well.
Yeah. My baby going in. Oh.
Being a resident and officially American is the privilege of being able to vote. Right? I know these are very trying times. We also know, as
Congratulations, baby. Come on, take our picture. And so this is the reason why I say that the spouse visa is, in my opinion, much more productive than the K1 fiance visa, because the K1 fiance visa is going to be more expensive in the long run, and the path to citizenship, like if that's your end goal, is going to take longer, because when you come in into the U.S. as a fiance and you come on the K1 visa, you have to get married within 90 days, but then you have to file to adjust status. So you have to file for adjustment of status. And basically, you have to wait before you can work. You have to get authorization to work, authorization to be able to travel out of the country. So if you have some type of emergency or something back home, you can't leave the country until you have that authorization to travel. I think they call it like advanced parole, and then your authorization to work. Yeah, so when you file for your fiance to come over, and they come over on the fiance visa or K1 visa, the process is longer, because when you come over, you have to get married within 90 days. Then you still have to file to adjust your status. So that's additional fees. And then your green card is not going to come until maybe a year or so after you file to adjust your status. So that's even a delay right there versus the spouse visa, where your green card is going to come like maybe a month or two after you arrive, right? Mm-hmm. Like that makes sense.
Yep.
So, but then you still have to apply to remove your conditions. So then that's additional fees, right? And then that process is delayed as well, because you can't file to remove your conditions until 2 years, that 90-day window, right before your 2-year green card expires. So now you're probably talking like a total of 3 years from the time you come into the States versus 2 years. So it really kind of puts you back like a year, kind of puts you behind about a year. And then again, you know, you can't apply for citizenship until you have been married for 3 years. So now you're still looking at about a 4-year time frame to even apply for citizenship. So it's a little more costly than the spouse visa, in that you have to pay to adjust status, and then you also have to still do the removal of conditions. So, you know, in my opinion, the spouse visa is more, you know, productive. It's less expensive, and the path to citizenship is going to be shorter. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I think we kind of touched on like everything that we wanted to. You know, but maybe just to close it out, like what kind of advice, or what advice do you have for somebody who is like maybe coming over on a visa to the States?
So, you know, when you come in the States, you still have to get yourself established, like build a foundation for yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And like get a bank account and put money in it, and get a driver's license, get a job. Mm-hmm. You know, and you want to build your credit. And talking about credit, Katania will tell you more about that.
Yeah, because, you know, one thing about like the States is we do everything kind of like based on credit. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, so in Jamaica, you know, you guys might, you know, just have the money and pay cash for stuff. But in America, everything is kind of like based on your credit. And you have like a credit score.
Yes.
So you, you know, if you go to apply for, like maybe you want to buy a house and you're applying for a mortgage, or you're applying for a credit card, or maybe you want to get a car loan. Mm-hmm. You know, everything is going to be based on your credit history. So you want to start building like that foundation to start building like a credit profile, you know.
Yes. And how them build them credit profile. like pay your bills them on time.
Yes,
and
you
so
want.
forth.
Yeah, you want to make sure but it has to be like bills that are reported to the basically the 3 credit bureaus. So that's like Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. Those are like the 3 major credit reporting agencies.
Yeah.
And so you
and
want
if you take even a loan, you have
Yes.
to pay it back on time.
Yes, you got to pay on time.
Yeah.
And so the one way that we did that was, of course, you know, I was already established when Kimar came over. So I added him as a authorized user on my credit card. So that automatically opens up a credit profile for him. And whenever he uses the card, like he got his own card in his own name, but he's an authorized user on my card. And I would tell him, like, just use it sometimes, you know, to maybe get gas or something like that. And then at the end of the month, you just pay it, you know, pay it in full.
Yeah, man.
Because that's going to be important in the long run when you want to start like buying stuff that's going to require you to get a loan, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that's going to be important. And that's one way to do it, you know. And then, you know, Kimar is to the point now where he has his own foundation, so he can go out and apply for stuff in his own name because he has a good credit, you know, history.
Basically, she tell me I can go make my own house now, because I have my own foundation, you know?
Mm-hmm. Why
Yeah,
you sound
man.
like you so happy about that?
Well, Catania, if I can go build my own house now, I have to hitch up in a year one.
Really? Okay. But yeah, so anyway, I hope you guys found this video interesting and there was a lot of good information that you can use. Don't forget to like the video, drop a comment, share, and do what?
Subscribe, guys.
Subscribe, and we will see you next time.
Peace out.
Peace.